right, everybody's asking me, have you seen the IG piece? Well, now there's two, and we're gonna go over both of them. Have you seen the IG piece where they're talking about Star Citizen? They're not being very nice, DG. I don't know why, but I just feel like some of the people had like a southern accent, and they were just like, "Hey, did you see this? Did you see this, DJ? These IG people, they're mean. They're mean." First off, there is some justification what's going on here. People are upset because there's a roadmap to the roadmap, apparently, and we're gonna look. The roadmap never gave us any really true dates. Like it was like the roadmap always gave us this kind of hollow feeling because some of the things, not all of the things, were not finished. It's what we're accustomed to. It's what we're accustomed to. Maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe it's not a good thing. I think some of us can wait and other people can't. And I talk about this plenty. I talk about how it's directly related to the amount that you've invested, the amount that you've pledged, the amount that you've spent. I think there's a direct correlation to the frustration versus the money that's put into the project. And you'll see that IG a lot of times hit Star Citizen, sometimes justified, sometimes not. And they do it almost every video they do about Star Citizen, because it draws them the views. It gives them the eyes to increase their viewership. It's always easy to rail against Star Citizen, but I don't think that any of them have any personal experience with the project whatsoever. Every time I watch them talk about it, I don't really feel like any of them have ever played it or really have gotten any farther than skin deep with the project. So that is my criticism with IG. I don't think that it's necessarily undeserved, but I also think that the research only goes skin deep, and we'll see it here. We'll talk about it as we watch the video. So let's watch it together.
Protect your online privacy today at expressvpn.com.
We don't want a commercial.
We're diving. It's time for another Star Citizen story. Don't remember that being a weekly thing? We're diving back in today because the SC fans are getting restless and sentiments are turning sour. We'll get into what the fan base are rightfully and finally concerned about. But first,
I mean, it's something that we've all been concerned about. It's not anything new to us. First off, like it's not anything that like they're like, it's about time these people get upset. Like it's, there's going to be people who are upset. There's going to be people that aren't really upset. The voices that you're hearing right now are the people that are upset because they're going to Reddit as their sources, which we will see.
I don't know, but first,
and Spectrum
it's time
2,
for a regular check-in
which is
with
like
the most
Reddit
expensive
2
game ever made. Is it pray tell finished?
It is absolutely not finished. Oh. No, it's super not finished. For the better part of a decade, not finished yet. Despite raising ungodly levels of money, the team behind Star Citizen still has not very much to show for it.
The project started in 2012 as a crowd-funded project to make an immersive space simulation combat game. Had a legendary developer, Chris Roberts, running the show, and players jumped on board to support it. Very nostalgia-fueled.
It's gone on to raise hundreds of millions of dollars from fans who really wanted a big space sim game on their PCs. But some of the game's most devoted fans are upset that they haven't heard from the developer in a while now.
The only thing I'm really upset about is the fact that Chris Roberts has not had a pillar talk yet. That's real talk right there. I think they're very transparent about putting where their progress is through the videos that they do, through Inside Star Citizen, through the dev show they have on Friday, Star Citizen Live. I think they're very upfront about about kind of where they're at. And right now, they're not as far as we want, obviously. Like, what's going on in the world? Like this, okay, with COVID happening right now, these guys are all split up. It was hard enough. We've always talked about managerial issues with Cloud Imperium. It's hard enough right now as it is before the COVID. Now we got COVID and we're seeing like more delays. It's not a surprise to most of us. Some of us are going to get outraged. Other people are going to be okay with it. Like these are things that are just happening in the world today. It's not like the overall excuse that I'm giving for the reason why, Star Citizen's delayed, but it's a contributing factor. If they had a hard time communicating when they are at the freaking physical building, then they're going to have a harder time communicating when they're not. And here's from something I wanted to show you guys where I can't remember who's talking here. I think it's Todd Pappy. And this is from Inside Star Citizen in April. And he talks about what it's like working from home.
We're still continuing to do our sprints and still continuing to do our scrum stand-ups, making sure that we keep that communication as tight-knit as we possibly can. It still doesn't match what it would be like, having teams basically right next to each other. And so we're not at 100%, capacity. You can see how some of the...
And apparently this is the only time we see Chris this year. Down below. In a video conference, and he's talking to people, right? And in this video, he actually talks to one of the devs who finally got one of the bartenders to work properly, and he's like, "Oh, I'm glad you can do that." And that was that particular talk. Welcome, guys, to the family. Thank you for pushing the follow button. So anyhow, if they weren't at 100% even before COVID, they're going to be worse off now in terms of communication. I think communication and managing the teams is of utmost importance. And I've always talked on this channel about how it's not where it needs to be. It's all over the place. It's like helter skelter. It's always been that way. So there needs to be, this is real talk. Something needs to happen inside where everybody has a unification sheet, where they at least have a roadmap that they're following. I hope that they do. We talked about this yesterday on Inside Star Citizen Review. It's very important. So I'm sure there's communication between them, but I hope they have some type of guidelines where they can all go to and they feel like they're on the same page. I remember one Inside Star Citizen where the manager actually said that it was very hard to get everyone together. It was like herding cats towards a fountain of milk was what she said. And I said to myself, that shouldn't be that hard to do. Cats love milk. So let's get back to it here.
Yeah, specifically, they're talking about the progress of the single-player campaign, and it's called Squadron 42. Yeah, it gets a little confusing, but Star Citizen actually split into two games. A multiplayer game, which they call The Persistent Universe, and Squadron 42, which stars big-name talent like Mark Hamill, Gillian Anderson, Henry Cavill.
Yeah, it has an audience.
Cavill.
Two L's.
I don't know if it was Cavill. Those three big-name talent and some others.
Mark
too.
Strong, Gary Oldman.
That guy from Game of Thrones, right?
That's where all the money went. It was just on asking those people to be associated, even in a marketing sense. They put out a sweet-looking trailer for the game and released an hour of gameplay back in 2018. Then it was reported that the game finally was expected to go into beta later this year. Finally, an actual game. But not so fast, because this is Star Citizen and nothing is ever easy.
Yeah, earlier this year, the team at Roberts Space Industries stopped updating that roadmap, saying that it didn't accurately represent development on a AAA chapter-based story.
It gave us the ideas of what it was that the devs were working on, but they never delivered on dates. The roadmaps never did that. And that was my biggest criticism of these roadmaps was, if you're going to put it on the roadmap in Q1 or Q2, whatever year that you're putting it down for, get it done then. Be realistic about your goals. Be realistic about your time horizons. Ever since 2015, when Chris stopped mentioning dates, what we've been seeing is these roadmaps that they're putting out, they've put what they're working on, but sometimes things get moved. Most times they do, but it has to do with the tech that they're working on currently. Let's talk about the scope of Star Citizen for one quick moment. The reason why it is the most expensive game ever made is debatable, because we can talk about Grand Theft Auto 5, but I won't get into that debate. Or we can talk about Destiny. And we can talk about the real costs of Destiny. We could talk about that till I'm blue in the face, but I'll just skip that for now. One of the reasons why it's taking them the amount of time that it's taking them is the actual scope and what the fans want from the game, which is essentially a limitless experience, which is why it has got the revenue that it has gotten. This is not something where people spent the money and that money is counted as the money to make the game. This is something that people believe in, where they pledged the money and people want this experience because it's not currently out there yet. So to me, I view it as a positive to see that kind of money being accrued towards a vision. Now, how the vision is managed, completely justifiable that we're seeing this from IG. But the sources that they're citing right now, our community members on Reddit and Spectrum, and some of these people, Reddit is like the trolliest place in the world. And I feel like Spectrum has become like Reddit multiplied, or maybe even Reddit squared. It's justifiable that we're seeing this, and I think it's good to put the developer kind of up against the wall and say, hey, but we also have to look at everything going around right now too as well. I mean, there's got to be a slight balance here. It can't just be all like pitchforks and torches, but it can't be all pillowy love, at the same time. IG continually kind of bashes Star Citizen for the amount of money that they're making. And I disagree with that concept as a thesis to going against Star Citizen, because like this is people pledging money for something they actually want to play. This is the gamer saying yes. And until we stop seeing the money being spent, they're really not that mad. If they were mad, they wouldn't pledge the money. And we got breaking revenues in 2019. We got breaking revenues in 2020. You can look here. If you look at these revenues right now, I mean, Jesus, in May, 15 million. On average, on their lower months, February through the COVID months, the heavy COVID months, from January to April, at least 4 million. We know their burn rate's 3 million. So they were at least making $1 million cash every single month during the COVID months. 15 million in May. We got 7 million in June. The money's talking, like Scooter says. So like, how angry are people? Like how angry are they? Because wouldn't you be talking with your wallet if you were angry? Like really think about this for a moment. If you were angry, wouldn't we see the amount of money be much lower than what we're seeing right now? Where people are like, I'm not spending any more money. Because it's numbers, right? So we're going off of we're really just going off of the loudest people off of Reddit and Spectrum is what we're doing here on IG. That's what I feel like both of these pieces
game like
are doing.
Yeah, duh.
They went on to write that, we want to be clear, progress on Squadron 42 is happening and we're broadly happy with that progress, but we know that our roadmap is not reflecting that progress.
But they'd promised that they'd keep fans regularly apprised of their progress, writing, we'll incorporate more Squadron 42 content into our regular sprint reports on ISC, calling all devs, AMAs, and more. In addition to our scheduled content, such as the Squadron 42 monthly report, we're also looking forward to providing regular video check-ins with Brian Chambers and a variety of members of the Squadron 42 team.
Well, it was their last part that had real fans particularly annoyed because that was more than 4 months ago and those regular updates haven't happened. Ready?
Can we call everyone on Reddit and Spectrum real fans? Does anybody really believe that for a moment? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Let's really dissect that for a moment.
Reddit user NoFuture09 made a post in the Star Citizen subreddit a few days ago citing that update from the developers. They pointed out that in the ensuing 4 months, we had no AMAs, no check-ins with Brian and the team, and nothing more.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Oh no, I wonder what Brian Chambers has been up to.
Brian, square up. This is me calling you out.
That post got more than 2,000 upvotes from other fans of the game who wanted answers from the developer and keep in.
Okay, so we're seeing development through shows like Inside Star Citizen Live, Ask the Devs. We're seeing the development. We really are. But we're not seeing key influential members calming us down. We're not seeing Chris. We're not seeing him in a pillar talk. I mean, that's definitely something I would like to see. We're not seeing Brian Chambers. Brian Chambers is a big figure for us in the community. We need that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
In mind that lots of these people backed the game. These are the truly hardcore Star Citizen fans, the ones that are in our mentions whenever we put out a video about Star Citizen.
We may not be hardcore Star Citizen fans here at Inside Gaming. We'll be the first to.
You're not even playing the game. Let's be real. Let's be real. Like, let's be really real for a moment. None of these people have probably played Star Citizen, or even, like I said earlier on in this video, have even scratched the surface other than reading Reddit comments. This is the journalism that we're seeing right now.
Admit it, we play games that are out and made, but we are hardcore Stamp fans because stamps are awesome. Today's episode is sponsored by Stamps.com. I just realized it's probably
with the ads, man, like with the ads in the freaking video. Stop.
What did Star Citizen fans have to say about the lack of communication from the developers? Well, some pointed to comments that the development team made saying that they'd solved a lot of technical issues with Squadron 42 and that they were really close to getting something we can show the community. But that was in a video 4 years ago.
4 Earth years?
Most people were just upset that the communication with players is sporadic at best, and they just wanted someone to cover.
Can any of these people take 30 minutes, an hour to actually go through the process to experience it? I mean, like, that's the thing I'm wondering. You're Inside Gaming. Your name is Inside Gaming. They haven't gone inside this game at all. They haven't played this game, but they're called Inside Gaming. The irony.
Come clean with them, which doesn't seem like that much of a big ask.
Reddit user Wooly Dub wrote, if something has changed course with Squadron 42 or it suffered a major delay, just tell us the truth and deal with the people who have an immature reaction to it like adults. They added that the developer needs to address how
the major delay is the AI right now for Squadron 42. Primarily the AI and the flight experience. That's why they're working on the flight experience and modifying it now.
piss poor this game is managed.
Yeah.
Piss poor, yeah.
I mean, yeah, finally. Piss poor,
Oh,
yeah.
right?
It's so piss poor. I can't even
it's a bit
imagine how piss poor it is. Another user, Nadetta, wrote, I don't mind SQ42 being delayed. Take as much time as you...
Every single thing is from Reddit, man. Like, they have not taken the time to experience this for themselves or have their own opinions. None of these journalists have their own opinion. They're taking other people's opinions from Reddit.
You need, but setting dates and then not saying anything as those dates come and go is kind of a dick move towards your backers.
Yeah,
Yes?
but that is a dick move towards your backers. Yeah.
Have any of you ever made...
That is a dick move towards your backers. Yeah, man. It's gnarly. It's totally gnarly, man. He's right. He's right, man. Hi, I'm one of the journalists here at IG Gaming. It's totally gnarly comment.
Dick moves on a backer?
That was funny. That's kind of funny.
I'm trying to make it work in my head.
That was
Strip
funny.
clubs.
It doesn't work. It just...
Just he sat on
I
it
think
for
it
like
does.
a minute, like a full
You're
minute.
talking about someone with
Come
a
on.
huge ass.
and making dick moves upon them.
But then others pointed out that the game has been in development for 8 years. In that time, The Last of Us 1 and 2 have come out.
That's
put it
crazy.
in some
Yeah.
perspective. Yeah.
Oh my god. So obviously everyone knew that Star Citizen was an ambitious project, but they also pointed out that the developer promised to keep them in the loop. After all, these people are funding the game, and they have acknowledged that, so to suddenly start ignoring it, it's just really shitty.
Yeah. Maybe they hired...
I mean, the past few Inside Star Citizen episodes, the last two of the new season that's out right now, are really low quality, like, low information, and that's a criticism that I have. But it's not like they're not showing us the developments, like there's not a freeze on the information here. It's just that they are seriously in a rut right now, as far as, either what they're able to show us or where they're at, technically speaking, with the development of the project right now. I feel that might be happening. I really do.
hired a PR company, and the company was like, stop telling them you're going to have this done, because it's not going to be done. And
Thank you, Snow Fox.
But they haven't been mad at us before, and it's been 19 years.
Chris Roberts is like, this is not my first time around.
Trust me,
okay.
These people can't get mad at me.
How long can it take to render the...
People can get mad at Chris. I don't know what these guys are talking about. People can get mad at Chris. They think that the average person that put money into this game, which by the way might be like $40, everybody knows when they put the money in that they're playing an alpha right now. And I hate saying that it's an alpha after 8 years. It gets a little bit old, but it is. And if people aren't fine with that, then hey, don't pledge. Play another game. This is obviously going to take a lot of time because of the scope of the game and what people want, which is, again, a limitless type of an experience. And it's really hard for me to get through the rest of the video. Let's go a little bit farther here.
Entire observable universe, though, in a compelling
see
format
what else they got to say.
Includes some of our favorite stars.
I think it took the universe like a couple of seconds, but
this took 7 days.
7 days, that's right.
And it's still expanding. There's no excuse now.
Other fans pointed to a pledge that Roberts made to the games.
The time, and it's very equal to the amount that people put into it, right? If you put a lot of money into this, you're more frustrated than somebody who put $40-50 in, even $100. If you're somebody that completely went over the top, put thousands of dollars into this, yeah, you're probably frustrated, And some people aren't. There's some people in my community that have, and I would never do that personally. I don't have the money to do that. I have to be realistic about what I can afford. I cannot afford doing something like that. But we are not prisoners. And I said this before on another video we did where we watched something similar about the time, right? And on that video, I said that, again, time is equal to the amount that somebody has pledged, most likely, and how frustrated they are. And we have to also consider the scope of what people want, which is a limitless experience, which hasn't really been invented yet for a game. And that's what we're going for here. And we can't be naive and think that we're going to have a limitless experience. Of course, there's going to be limits. But this is why the project is so damn successful in terms of bringing in that type of revenue. The real side of the business, Cloud Imperium, is that we've got to deal with some of the managerial issues. I think there are some managerial and fiscal issues, obviously. But when it comes down to the game, it's about wanting a limitless experience, and it's why it's gotten the amount of money that it has.
Backers saying, "We, the developer, intend to treat you with the same respect we would give a publisher. You will receive regular."
I think a T says you will. If you want a limitless experience, it will not be an MMORPG style game. I don't know. I could argue that it might. I can argue that it might. T. Think about all the different avenues here and careers that you're going to be able to. You can literally invent a career and play it in the game and be whatever it is that you want to be in the game. Think about the amount of locations that eventually you're going to be in the game. Right now, everybody goes, oh, there's one system. Again, this is old, commentary, but I'll say it again. They'll say, oh, there's only Stanton. And Stanton's not even done because Crusader. And Crusader's on delay and blah, 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 blah. What is out right now is currently bigger in scope than most games. Traversable amounts of area right now, bigger than most games. Right now that are out, and it's not even finished.
Updates about the progress of the game.
That's what I'm saying. Why did they say that if they're not going to do it?
Right. We promised.
Yeah, but and then T says, this is great because this is great. I like what T's saying. So T says, if you want an experience where everything is up for grabs and where you can have player-run factions in the game, you change everything. You change the economy. You change the boss fights, the quests, everything. Yeah, the more player-to-player kind of experiences in the game, T, the more content. Period. So I've always endorsed that, T, where I want more player controlled kind of concepts put into the game. We'll see. The biggest deal for me, T, is coming up with Quanta and seeing how that interacts so that we feel like we have real supply and demand, and to see if that algorithm actually acts so far in the fact that it gives me that experience, that kind of that I feel that it is a real economy. That's going to be a big one for me. That's going to be a big one. Scooter says, for me, I don't need the daily, weekly reports. I'd rather them work on the project more and send us monthly reports saying what they have done. There is a great little piece here that Boocha from our own community did, and everybody was, oh, Boocha's from Cost Sunk Galaxy, and he's all negative. He's not really, he's not like a negative dude. He's great with numbers, and he's a nice dude. I support like all different thoughts and opinions. I like to be open. I like to be rational and have discussion. And I really like what he wrote here. Basically, he's saying, as of 2018, I'm not quite sure where I got these numbers. So, I'm not quite sure this is 100% legit, but he does look at the numbers like I do. But I've always been curious as to what the subscription money is. And I really like this particular portion. And he's saying, hey, if you're not happy with the project, speak with your wallet. I completely agree with him. I completely agree with Bucha. And like I said earlier, we're not seeing people being really angry because we're not seeing it in the numbers. Record-breaking years. So Bucha's saying, hey, if you guys are truly upset, stop spending. Speak with your wallet. And then he goes on to talk about the subscription money. And he says, as of 2018, SIG has raised above $14 million in subscription income. Averaging the last 4 years, this comes to about $1.67 per registered account on average annually. Taking this average to calculate all of 2019 and 2020 year to date, SIG has potentially raised nearly $23 million cumulatively, with nearly $9 million from last year and this year so far. Wow. That's from subscription money. It is, however, a small slice of the pie, especially considering this year's reported gangbusters funding, which we've been following here. This is also regular income for SIG month after month. Remember, not only were subscriptions a method of slowly giving to the project, it has been explicitly said in multiple SIG media content and passive that subscribers made that content and enhanced communication possible. Right now, they are not saying that, and perhaps that's a salient point. For the sake of the backers, I would say SIG is now earning this potential $8 million in subscriber funding if the current media content quality and communication is indicative. And then he says, also really quick, $23 million in 2020 money would produce about 10 episodes of a 22 episode season of Stargate SG-1. For some perspective. So what we get from this is thinking about the subscription money and how the subscription money is being used, since we've been told numerous occasions that money is going to go towards these episodic, like Star Citizen Live and Ask the Devs and Inside Star Citizen. And we can see the production value, while good, I'm not knocking him. Jared, I know, does a lot of work on this stuff, but like perhaps upping the game a little bit since we have this type of money. And if not, scaling that money back. But we're not seeing any scale back in the funds. We're not. We're just not. We're not seeing it.
Same respect we'd give a publisher. Zero. None.
Maybe they thought it sounded cool to say that.
Probably, yeah.
It does sound pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. It makes the
if your friends
feel
all gave
important.
regular updates and progress about the game, would you?
You wouldn't steal a car.
You wouldn't release a game.
Download your grandma.
Now, we should note that when it comes to the MMO portion of Star Citizen, that the development team does provide updates. They even have a weekly blog called This Week in Star Citizen. Someone need to get that?
As a timer. I don't know why I have it on.
Is it just so that you know?
This is so unnecessary to put in the videos. This is really unnecessary. Like, edit this out. Like, it's like quirky. I'm not, if you're inside gaming and you're this big, I don't know if you need this type of, I don't know. So then they do another video here, where like Star Citizen devs react to the fan outrage, and they talk about a roadmap to the roadmap, which is actually very funny.
It's like this.
That's right, Brian. We did, but now there's an update, which you knew because you wrote it, you sneaky little bastard. Because after we wrote about fans being upset with the developer, they finally responded inside gaming, driving the news cycle.
It was us.
We did that.
Probably wasn't because of us.
The news. I don't know if calling Inside Gaming a news source is really anything that anybody should do ever.
I think it was.
It was us in Kotaku, Australia, so I feel like we have just as big of a reach as they do.
That's true, yeah.
But this week, angry fans did go a bit viral after expressing their outrage on Reddit about the team's lack of communication when it comes to the project's single-player component, Squadron 42.
The gist of that is basically that in March, the developer announced they were abandoning their roadmap for the game. Seems like a bad call. But they said that it wasn't accurately reflecting their progress in the game.
Instead, they said they were thinking about a new way to visualize our progress on the game. They also promised, though, in the meantime, regular updates in a variety of formats like AMAs with the developers, regular video check-ins with a variety of members of the Squadron 42
Yeah,
team.
true,
If
Spock.
that sounds a little ambitious, well, it was. Just like everything involved with this project.
That's
it doesn't
right.
sound
it did
ambitious.
Not
That's
happen.
the problem.
Yeah.
This girl knows nothing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know her from a hole in the wall, but I mean, like, here's the thing. It's really ambitious what this project's trying to do. It's creating a limitless experience. There's a reason why there's been over $300 million collected from people who believe the vision of this game. Like, to say that it's not ambitious is probably one of the most ignorant statements I've ever heard. Like, to believe for a moment that what Star Citizen is trying to do is not ambitious when it has literally brought in $300 million from people who want to play it, and to say that it isn't ambitious is borderline insane. It's one of the most insane statements I've ever heard.
Kind of the bare minimum for a developer, isn't it?
So it's not that hard to do an AMA.
Yeah, so that didn't happen. Fans got mad, culminating in a big post on the game's subreddit where everyone aired their grievances. And then, last night...
Yeah, like Ross says, he just wants more open, honest communication. You know, we're seeing the videos, we're seeing Inside Star System, we're seeing Ask the Devs, we're seeing Star Citizen Live, we're seeing development. But what we really want to see as a community is like Chris come out and say, hey, this is what's going on. Simple as that. Let's sum it up. We don't need layers. We don't need roadmaps to roadmaps. We just need Chris, old school, like he used to, 10 for the chair. It's a direct line to Chris. I mean, let's just break it down simply. At least that is the way it is for me. Maybe I'm off here. But I feel like that's what needs to happen. But I think Chris is really, trying to shield himself from any ridicule. And, I understand. Thinking about like all the backlash and everything that he's taken in the past, it would be difficult, for any human being. But like, he needs to man up, step up, at least be on a pillar talk, come out and really have a real talk. And maybe calm some people in the community that are upset, and say, here are the real problems. Simple as that. Could take 5 minutes. That's it. I think that's all that needs to be said. Really, at the end of the day, I think that's what it comes down to. And Effigy says the pandemic killed pillar talk. It probably did. Because Chris wants that high quality kind of fidelity desk that they talk on in that room. But they need to throw away the concept and just talk, sit down, like they do on Meet the Devs or Calling All Devs, and just sit down and talk to each other via video conferencing. That's it. But I don't know. I don't even take much of this seriously. When I see this, it's like there is no real journalism here other than taking like Reddit posts and people who are angry and upset. I think I've explained it enough. So for people that were like DG, because I got a lot of direct messages on this, by the way. Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see it? What do you think? That's what I think. This is what I think. So I hope that helped for people that were wondering. Thank you.